We got a good one this weekend, guys. Live from Las Vegas, Leon Edwards is going to defend the welterweight UFC Championship against Colby Covington. And my partners at DraftKings have an incredible offer for all new customers signing up using the promo code Sonnen. New customers bet just $5 on any of this weekend's fights, and you're going to receive $150 in bonus bets instantly. You can even use your bonus bets in DraftKings same fight parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together within the same fight, including number of rounds and method of victory. Remember, DraftKings is the only place where you can bet same fight parlays. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Sign up using my promo code Sonnen or just click on the link below. Garry versus Rakhmonov. For the mandate of the masses, the single most important thing that you could have in your corner if you're trying to get a title fight. Who's the public roll with? The public is not the ones that want to see the big fight, and they want the amazing interviews. They do want to see the right guys. Now, they would like if the right guys could bring them a level of entertainment outside of that, but they want the right guys. Who is it? And okay, guys, come with me on a journey, if you will. But if they both, Ian and Rakhmonov, have amazing performances, equally as amazing, in fact, they both win fight of the night bonuses, they perform so well. And we understand that Blahal is next, so now we're looking at who's next for the next. Just for fun. Just for fun. For argument's sake, who would you say? And it's not as easy as one might think. Like what Rakhmonov has done. To have 16 fights, to have 16 wins, to have 16 finishes. I've never heard of this. I'm quite sure it's never happened in MMA, but I've never heard of it. I've never heard of a boxer getting off to 16-0. I don't know a wrestler that pinned the first 16 guys. It really is a remarkable feat that he gets very little credit for. And if Rakhmonov is to have one of these great performances over Wonderboy, it's not as though he takes Wonderboy's spot in the rankings and that projects him forward more, but he would still be ahead of Garry. And if Garry goes out there, he does the same thing. He gets this super impressive win and fight of the night, all these wonderful things. Do we just default to rankings? Is it as simple as that? I don't think so. Because rankings weren't proved, right? Rankings were decided by somebody else. The proving ground is the octagon. What happened in the octagon, like those things are going to have to matter. And I don't think anybody would concede to an unidentified, unnamed, mysterious, possible computer program that spits out our rankings every Tuesday by 9 a.m. I don't think that they would defer to that. Unless, of course, it served them. If the argument they were trying to make also had a better ranking. But I don't think you guys would do that. So now what are you looking at? How much do you value the finish? For Rakhmonov to have 16 fights and 16 finishes, 8 by knockout, 8 by submission. I mean, this is crazy, right? It really is. That's nuts. So, but where do you value the finish? Because Rakhmonov will be undefeated. That's an incredible thing. So's Garry. Rakhmonov can't express and relay to you why he deserves the opportunity and why it matters to him. He can't do that. Garry most certainly can. So are you going to be objective? I mean, any other job in the world, there would be an interview. You would hear from the candidate. You would want to know why they believe they're the right one. You'd want to know there's a passion in their voice. You'd want to know that they're serious, that they're committed. You'd want to do those things at any other job in the world. So are you going to dismiss that here? And if you do dismiss it, what is it that you have to give Rakhmonov the nod? One's undefeated, the other one's undefeated. You want to play a game over who opponents were, just for example? Play a game about shelf life and who did what and how they did it, and it's just one of those spots where I do understand the strength of Rakhmonov's argument, for sure. In fact, this little game that we're playing here, I expect Rakhmonov will win. I'm just reminding you, undefeated versus undefeated, those are two remarkable resumes. And if you tried to dismiss one guy for it, I think that you'd be in a hard spot. One thing that would crush it, if it ever came down to those two, is the fact that they were teammates at Sanford MMA, and you could just have coaches, respected coaches, which are within that gym, some of the most respected coaches, to get in front of it and say, no, this is the guy. Don't even tell me you're going to give an opportunity over here to this guy that left. He left because this is the guy. He beat him every day. You say you want the best fighters. This is the best fighter. That is one way that we get in front of it. Ian Garry did an interview, and I didn't know the level of sincerity. I didn't know if he was just attempting to show that you're not going to bother him. But he did say, I need 4 more fights before I fight for a title. I am not looking to go into a title fight. I do not believe I am ready for a title. I'm not trying to fast track a title fight. I want 4 more fights before I get to the title. So, now, he said that in an obscure interview that he posted online that very few people saw. If he was to say that at a UFC press conference or to say that in the ring to Joe Rogan, for example, you could put a nail in the coffin of the idea. That idea will not even germinate and get off the ground. But it doesn't make it any less interesting. I don't know that we're in a position where we're looking for who's next to the next. Right? We have Blahal. Blahal will take on the winner of Edwards and Colby. And I don't know that we're in a position where this Saturday, even though we are featuring welterweights, where we're then going to put somebody else in the batter's box. It would seem as though there is enough time. There is roughly 6 months before that gets resolution. If you were to look at the layoff between Leon's last fight, it was 8 months, and Colby's was 2 years. So me saying 6 months seems a little presumptuous, but I'm just sharing for you. I just don't believe that those top hungry guys are going to wait for resolution to that and then another 6, 8, 10 months before they get their opportunity. So I don't know that we're in that spot. But I do think that arguing it and why you would argue it is still just as relevant, because I think we're likely to end up in that spot eventually. And I don't know how big Garry gets. I mean, the swerve here in the move, if Garry gets a win, is to announce I'm coming to middleweight and I'm coming after Strickland. That's the move. I don't believe that he needs to follow up on that. I mean, Sean's already got a fight. He's got whatever's going to happen there. They're going to draw into Adesanya, and if they don't, they're going to draw into Chimaev. I mean, that division is handled. It's not as though Garry bumping up is going to go and take that. I'm saying, if you're looking for sound bites and you're looking to go in a direction, it's very important what you say in that microphone becomes true. You call somebody out, you better get that fight. There is nothing in this industry that you must have that trumps the perception of power. You call for a fight and you can't get it. If you call for a fight and you can't get a response, it's one of these situations. You don't want that. So what you're going to say and how you're going to say it and why you're going to say it all comes into play. And one of my fears for Rakhmonov, because Rakhmonov's going to be on the slow path, I understand all those things, but once he gets there, it's going to be exemplified in ways that are going to be uncomparable. He has the potential for star power, even if it's the slower rise, to eclipse other things that we've seen. But one of my fears for Rakhmonov is that somebody gets to him and tells him, you're as dry as popcorn, say these words. Because if he comes off as unauthentic, which he would, if he dropped a line in English that he got memorized because he doesn't know English at all, can't handle a follow-up question in the language, it appears that somebody else fed it to him. If that happened, and then you've seen the really bad ones, right? Where Joe Rogan's got the guy in the shot, and just before the guy comes in, his corner leans in his ear and feeds him the line one last time, then he steps in and he delivers it, and it just bombs. But now you've handed back everything You handed back all your authenticity. You handed back all your credibility. You handed back all of your interest. You handed back all of your mystique. And I don't want him to fall in that trap. But it largely would depend on where you guys value the finish. And I don't know. I'm not convinced that you do. I know that's a narrative that lives in our sport, but I know the guys that go down as the most exciting guys in the sport, or they made the most money, they sold the most tickets, did not finish people. And nobody drew like George St. Pierre, and George St. Pierre went all 5 rounds. It's part of the strategy. So I don't know how much you value that. If it's a very strong valuation, then a guy 16-17 finished into a 16-17 fight career is going to be pretty impressive to you, but you haven't said that yet. You haven't spoken up yet. So if you do get put in that position, what are you going to do?